Okay, let's unpack this. We received a really interesting request from a listener about these pervasive warnings. You see them everywhere, right? These health reports about common foods being, well, super toxic.
Exactly. We're diving into some reports, outlets like TVBS, E-Today, Sanly News, some pretty recent ones too from 2024, 2025. And they use this extreme term, super toxic, CHA-DU.
Right, cha-do.
And our mission here really is to look closely at these alarms because, frankly, there's a huge contradiction baked right into them.
Yeah, that's the hook, isn't it? It just doesn't quite add up. I mean, if something is genuinely super toxic, like,
Yeah.
actual
We aren't
poison.
avoid it completely.
Exactly. But then these same reports, they always wrap up by saying, oh, just aim for moderate consumption. Sheila Young, Shea QA.
Hmm.
So wait a second. Is super toxic just like clickbait, meaning it's only toxic if you eat tons of it? And is moderate consumption the easy way out for the journalist?
Well, that's kind of the puzzle we need to solve. Let's look at the list of foods they're calling out. The general worries are, fair enough. Overprocessing, too much salt, sugar, bad fats, additives.
Standard concerns. And we saw two main groups getting hit hard. First, processed meats, right?
Yeah.
Sausages, bacon, hot dogs.
Yeah. And also things like fried dough sticks, Gale margarine, even soda. One nutritionist in 2024 claimed these things actually destroy nutrients and massively hike up your risk for cancer, heart disease.
But then, and this is the crazy part, right after saying it destroys nutrients, the advice is,
Consume moderately to stay healthy. It makes no sense. And then there were these 2025 alerts about fats and oils. Peanut oil, seed oils, because they're high in omega-6.
linked to inflammation, obesity, diabetes, the report said, again, sounds serious.
Super serious. Potential cancer risk, chronic disease. But the advice, still just, vague. Moderate consumption. And it really highlights the problem. What is moderate? One person's moderate is another's binge, right? They never quantify it.
That lack of specifics is a huge issue.
Yeah.
It leads to these scary, broad warnings, like the ones about ultra-processed foods causing early death. We saw that headline pop up quite a bit.
Yeah, terrifying stuff, until you actually dig into the research they're citing.
And that's where the academic pushback comes in, which your sources thankfully included. People like Astbury at Oxford University.
Exactly. Nutrition scholars are pointing out, hold on, these studies only show a correlation, an association.
And that's such a critical distinction for you, the listener, to grasp. Correlation just means two things happen together. Maybe people eating more processed food also have other lifestyle factors, lower income, less healthcare access. Maybe they smoke more.
Right. It doesn't prove the food caused the illness.
Yeah.
That's causation, and they haven't shown that here.
It's a fundamental of critical thinking, isn't it? Don't mistake correlation for causation.
Precisely. And another critique from the academics was that these studies often use zero consumption as their ideal baseline. Like, the lowest risk is eating none of this stuff.
Which is completely unrealistic for almost everyone.
Totally unrealistic.
Yeah.
So the core issue remains. The reports don't tell us what overconsumption actually means in real numbers. How much is too much?
Okay, so this theme of shaky definitions and inconsistent risk, it brings us to a really specific example. Shellfish. There was a warning from a Dr. Huang about shellfish being super toxic.
Yeah, the reason given was microplastics. Shellfish filter water. They accumulate microplastics from the environment. And this, supposedly, significantly bumps up your cancer risk.
Microplastics.
Okay.
Here's where the source material itself gets really interesting and challenges this idea.
It does. It basically asks us to consider other ways we ingest plastics. And it uses a brilliant example, baseball players and gum.
I loved this comparison. Think about it. Decades of pro baseball players chewing gum constantly and swallowing a lot of it. Gum contains plastic microparticles, right?
Absolutely. It's a known source. So if the tiny amount in shellfish is supposedly super toxic enough to cause cancer,
then what about the massive amount ingested by ball players over entire careers? Are they dropping like flies from colon cancer compared to everyone else?
the source implies strongly that the answer is no. There's no epidemic of gum-induced cancer in baseball.
So it's not just about the gum itself.
No, it's about relative risk. It forces you to ask, is this warning about shellfish blown way out of proportion? Is it inconsistent with how we view other, maybe even larger exposures?
It really puts that super toxic label into perspective.
It does.
So wrapping this up, this deep dive really suggests the danger isn't always the food itself, but how it's talked about. This extreme, super toxic language without any clear, practical guidance on how much is actually risky. It feels like fear-mongering, not helpful advice.
Exactly. And the key takeaway for you, the listener, isn't to just dismiss all health warnings, obviously, but is to bring that critical lens, demand clarity, demand evidence. When somebody yells super toxic, ask, okay, what's the specific threshold? What level differentiates this food from just being, generally unhealthy if you eat way too much of it?
That critical questioning?
That's the most important ingredient you need. Apply that lens,
So
always.